Hello, Beetle people. We are back with another unboxing. I mean, it already is unboxed, but it is something I'm very excited to share with you all. Last week, the John Lennon estate released a book called Mind Games, which is, of course, in addition to celebrating the 50th anniversary of the album's release. Now, don't get confused, because there was a book that came with the CD box set, which I showed you guys over the summer. But what I'm about to show you guys is something completely different, and I just think that it's the coolest thing. And yes, we've got the sticky notes going because there are some things we need to discuss. So this overall is the new book. A big thank you to the Lennon estate and the publishing company for sending over a copy. It contains so much detail about the album with stories behind the songs, handwritten lyrics, artwork, unseen photographs. This entire era was a breakthrough moment for John and Yoko that now we're able to have inside access to. It feels like I'm reading one big diary or just looking through a massive time capsule because 1974 was a huge moment for John's career. Now, I've gotten some messages from followers asking if there was a difference between this book and the one in the CD box set, and the answer is yes. The main difference, besides the size, is the amount of detail and exactly what's covered. So in this book, you'll see that there's chapters for each song that's included on the Mind Games album, with a few extra ones thrown in between. So for instance, when you go to read about Lifting the Veil, it shows a lot of keepsakes that John and Yoko had relating to numerology, spirituality, anything that influenced their mindset and the messages that they wanted to put out, whether subliminal or not. And when I say it feels like I'm reading a diary, it's because I quite literally am in this book. This was one of John's diaries at the time where he was kind of sketching out ideas for the Mind Games album and what he wanted it to be all about. I still can't believe that this exists. Obviously, I'm not holding the actual physical copy, but being able to see photos of it. I also find it so funny that in one of these sketches, he literally wrote Sean's name in here, and he was kind of using it to play around with his own name a bit. John O'Shawn. I mean, if that's not a coincidence, I don't know what is. Or if you look at the Dakota chapter, it gives you a glimpse into their world, their life, where the magic really happened. You're being invited into the space with them to get a full immersive experience of the time and what was going on culturally to impact the creation of Mind Games. Now, when you start to read about the songs, it's a much different perspective. The smaller book goes into more detail about the recording process, all of the technical details and interviews with musicians who played on the album. But here, it's more about the message. For instance, Intuition is one of my favorite songs on the album. So here they're showing you the lyrics with John's handwritten notes, and then the lyrics right here printed out for everyone to see. And then when you start to read about it, it goes into more detail of why John wrote the song, his inspirations. So for Intuition, he writes, "I have a good intuition which has saved me from many a disaster. I always took the songs personally, whether it was in my life or help. To me, I always meant it. I always wrote about myself." I'm not going to spoil it all, but for the most part, it's just him writing about how this song is so much about himself. He's recognizing the own changes that were going on in his life at the time. He was so self-aware and really spoke from the heart, and I mean, this is just one of the many incredible songs where he does so. Now let's get into some of my personal favorite parts of the book. Don't even remember which comes first. Oh, okay. This one was fun to see. Right here in the beginning, where it was talking about John and Yoko's beliefs in numerology, astrology, everything of the sort. There are impressions of John's handprints, which were used for palm readings. So this is a life-size picture of his handprints right there. And of course, I had to match mine up to his. And ironically enough, I think we have the same size hand. Don't know what that says about me. Maybe a palm reader can tell me that. But I love this detail. This was the part that I was screaming about the most, which to some might be strange, but the floor plan of their apartment in the Dakota. Because I've always seen it from the outside. I've always tried to imagine what it could look like. I never really knew just how big the space was and exactly what was going on in there. But now I do. They had a whole little corner of that floor to themselves. But they had an office, some music rooms, spare bedrooms, dining room. But what's really unique is that all of the different rooms in their apartment were given individual names. And they were officially named, as you can see with these plaques. Newtopian Embassy was the kitchen, Albert was the bathroom near the kitchen, Dream Pot was Yoko's dressing room. Early Spring was the dining room. Hope was Sean's bedroom. It's just so unique. I found it funny how Michael was the name of Yoko's closet, but I got my answer as to why. It was the name of an archangel. I'm not sure why Yoko chose that name specifically, but again, it's these little details to show the creative mindsets that they had and a way to make a place entirely their own. There's a couple of pages like this throughout the book, but I love where it's these little film snapshots so you can see kind of everything as it's happening in real time. And we have never seen these before. So it's almost like you are moving along with the camera, going through their apartment with them and seeing everything there is to see. And again, I haven't seen too many photographs of them in their apartment at the Dakota. And with some of these being brand new, I mean, look at this. And this is just one of many rooms in there. This has to be my favorite shot for sure. Yoko, this could be your next album cover. This one was more towards the end, but if you remember the promo video that Tony King did dressed up as the Queen for Mind Games, there's snapshots of that promo in here. And if you go one by one, I can picture the video right now. I know exactly how it all goes, and it's just seeing it on paper is so much different, and it's so funny just to see the snapshots without knowing exactly what's going on. And then the last of these that I really adored were these screenshots from the Mind Games music video, which I know it's not technically Mind Games, it's whatever gets you through the night, but you know what? It's on YouTube as Mind Games, and this is the Mind Games book, so that's what we're going with. This is one of my favorite John looks of all time. This is my favorite music video of his. The fact that I've walked these exact streets and been to these locations just makes it so much better. Oh my gosh. And the quality of these are stunning. I could stare at this all day. I cannot express how in love with it I am. I am so excited to keep reading this and dive into it so much further. And another huge thank you to the estate and the publisher for sending this copy to me. And for anyone else who ordered their copy, I would love to hear your thoughts on the book and some of your favorite parts. You can comment below, or if you've joined the Citizens of Newtopia forum, we have a special thread dedicated to a little book club discussion talking about this book specifically right now. So come on in and join and chat with your fellow fans. Until next time, peace and love.